Hi everyone, how you doing? It is Chanan, creator of Access Points, the Modern Life Meditation Plan, and I'm with my brother Joey Lott.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to be with you today.
So welcome to our show. This is Accessing Oneness and Living Inner Peace. You know, people come to us because honestly, they're ready for a different way of life. They're sick of the struggle and trying to figure it all out. So what we have to stop and take a look at is, do you want a meaningful life? Do you want a purposeful life? What is meaning really? How much strain, anxiety, stress, fear, depression goes along with you feeling like your life is meaningless, hopeless, that it's not working? No matter what you attain and what you do, there's still this void. In Access Points, we call this void this feeling of like from the time you're young, if you look back, there's this feeling of like something's off, something's not quite right. And it's about me, about my family, about the world. And instead of anyone exploring with that with us, really, we're kind of shoved that under the rug. Put the boogeyman in the closet. Don't go look there. And here's the craziest thing: the entire ego mind structure, what we call the operating system of the mind, it's running from that void. It's running from fear. It's running from that pit. And it's looking so hard for meaning because it wants to figure it out. And that searching for meaning, that seeing if you got it, is this right? Is this wrong? All that stress, all that worrying, how much energy do you think you use in your life paying attention to your mind's idea of what something means or doesn't? And if you finally got it or you didn't get it. So we want to take a deep look at that and to take a recognizing of that. Of course, we all want to be meaningful, but the typical idea that we have about meaning is that what I do or don't do determines how I look, what I have in life, and if I'm going to be okay or not. What we call meaningful is judging, most of the time, judging how I am. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I good? Am I bad? This feeling I don't like, I want that other feeling. We're constantly looking for meaning as a hope that it's just going to solve everything. So instead of actually being able to be, we instead turn to the mind and see what the mind says. And when we teach in Access Points, the number one pattern, so important, the number one pattern that keeps us identified in our mind. So if your thoughts are stuck in your mind, you believe yourself to be separate. If you're separate, you can be destroyed, right? So just like the survival animal knows to protect its physical body, right? Like if a shark is going to eat you in the water, you're going to have fear. You're going to need to survive. That hunter-gatherer, that fight and flight response is there. Okay, we don't need to change that. But what we do need to see, and this is key, if you can hear this, this could change your entire life in itself. That as much as the body mind is trying to protect its physical body, it is constantly trying to run away from that void, which we often feel as negative emotions, and trying to get something else somewhere else. So it's constantly running from that void, trying to protect its separate me. It's avoiding the unknown because the unknown is fearful. The unknown is we don't know. It's avoiding the unknown to maintain special me, and it's doing it as much as if someone's about to shoot you or eat you right now. It's constantly, and that is the neurosis. That is the anxiety. That is the stress. And it's possible to stop running, to stop being a survival animal, seeking to be meaningful instead of finding that you are meaningful right now.
Yeah, and I would really say, check this out. You can see how it is that each of us, I mean, everybody who's here now listening to this, you have a desire for change in your life, right? I mean, that's just, we know that that's true. There are things where you feel dissatisfied in your life, where you feel like something's off, it's not working, you have these struggles in life, and you want change. That's your true desire. But then what happens is we have this true desire for change, and then life delivers us that. But we see, just as Hanan said, that pattern of trying to avoid the unknown is is what we come up with, because we see that we want change, but how is change going to happen? Well, it has to be something new. That's unknown. And the mind is just this collection of conditioning, which is all about what's already happened, what's already been. And so it's just going to try to apply that understanding from the past, and it's going to try to apply it to what's happening, which is the avoidance of the unknown. So if we want real change, this is essential that we recognize that we have to just start to see that. And that's the real key, is the seeing. So you, everybody who's listening to this right now, you can actually just pause for one moment right now and just notice all of the seeking of the mind to figure it out, to get the meaning of this and know, do I like this? Do I not like this? Is this going to give me what I want? Is it not going to give me what I want? And you can just see that that's going on, and you can actually feel in your body how much effort that requires. Now, as soon as you recognize that, what's possible is you can also recognize that there's something that's already perfectly still, already at peace, that already is meaningful. But it's not the meaning that's possible to grasp. It's the meaningfulness of life happening. It's the meaningfulness of being, which is you. You are being. And this is the totally obvious fact that most of us overlook. Unfortunately, to our own peril, we suffer as a result of overlooking that. Oh, you're muted there.
Oh. And that's totally like yes to what Joey just said, right? That it's possible to become meaningful, not by even trying to do it, to recognize that you already are on meaning. You already are meaningful. You're already on point. All of existence doesn't have you, your DNA, your life as it is by some mistake. You're not by some mistake. And the only thing that can tell you you're a mistake is what society or your childhood or your parents told you should be and what it should look like, or what the world tells you should look like, or what your mind tells you should look like. So your mind continues to tell you what is right, what is wrong, what is meaning, what is not. And if this means that, then I will get it one day. If this means happiness, then, oh, I'm feeling this. Does this mean that? Oh, all of that is a mental conversation, what we call the separation paradigm and access points. And living in that separation paradigm is hell.
It really
that is hell. Mm-hmm. You know, and go ahead.
Well, I wanted to say, because to me, you know, it's like, you know, when I was a kid, they're at the playgrounds, they have those merry-go-round. Now, I never thought it was all too merry, because I always just felt sick after being spun around and around and around on this thing. And there's this desire to get off. But then there's also the fear of that. There's the fear, you know, here it is spinning around and around and around. And this is the kind of the situation that a lot of us find ourselves in. We know that we're kind of nauseous with this spinning around and around and around. And we want to get off of that, but there's this fear of it because of the habit of the seeking for the meaning to protect ourselves. And this is where it's so key just to recognize that at any time you are seeking for that solution, seeking for the meaning that's going to give you that ultimate protection or that future attainment, that's just you grasping to the merry-go-round and clinging to that suffering. But if you finally just see that, then you don't even have to do a thing, because what's revealed is that there's already the space in which all of this is happening. Yes. And there's nothing that you need to do to fix this.
That's right. Awareness is already here. You're already aware. So doesn't it make sense to start to explore what is already always here in your own direct experience? Because that is the ground of trust that you can have, that you don't need to prove yourself. So what we're actually saying to you is that, and what we do in Access Points, we show people the 5 main patterns that keep us identified in our mind. And as we start to see that we keep turning, avoiding the unknown and turning to who we are, is our life meaningful, what we are, what's good and bad, it's all based on what the mind is saying about you. So we can just be relieved of that burden of the mind's meaning, of the mind figuring it out to avoid the unknown and actually live in the unknown. So I got a simple question for you. Do you really know what's going to happen next? Like right now, for sure, what's going to happen next? You may have something scheduled or planned, but we all know the truth is we don't know what's going to happen next, right? We could get hit. We could die. A bomb could go up. We have no clue what could happen next. So it makes sense that the animal mind that's job is to protect you is to run from fear. But this is fear you don't have to run from anymore. This is fear that wants to invite you directly home. It wants to directly invite you into the intensity of life itself. That's what we've been running from. We've been running from ourselves, and the mind's trying to figure it out, avoiding that own, is actually telling you that you're not good enough because you have to find some meaning for who you are and what you are somewhere else. Well, I got to tell you for a fact, and I can say for a fact for me, but you have to discover this for yourself, that you are already it, that the purpose of your life is you now, that meaning is found right in being you. And when you're free from having to see those, when you see those patterns, you become aware because you already are aware. So you're just noticing that you are aware. Now you're aware of the patterns that keep you stuck in survival. So then you're able to shift and access your true oneself, that which is already here. So you can just tune in and notice, are you here? Are you being? So what we do in Access Points is we actually, through an 8-week program with mentorship directly from Joey and I, we take you through a process where you see these 5 patterns operating. And the mind body starts kicking and screaming because it wants to hold on to the old way of life. But like Joey said at the beginning, what we all really want is true change, true transformation. Transformation will not go, as we all know in all the self-help teachings, it won't go by doing the same thing over and over again and hoping to get the same results. So every practice you've done, everything you try and do, the mind co-ops it and takes it back into the survival, the separation paradigm. So it's huge. It's revolutionary to see this separation paradigm occurring, the survival animal avoiding the unknown, and no longer have to believe the identity of that mind, that you don't have to believe your mind at all, that no matter what your mind says about how you're feeling, what your mind says about another, about a circumstance, about anything you're fearful about and worried about, you don't have to believe your mind at all. And that is actually an Access Points that our group is doing right now. Debum, don't believe your mind. You realize that you don't have to believe your mind at all. For me, I was in a shower and I had been at this work for quite a while and I was beating myself in my mind about a boss at work years ago. You ever do that? You relive a memory in your head and you're experiencing the same gross feelings, the same argument. You're reliving that moment. How often do we do that about a meeting coming up or something important in our lives, projecting it out there? And what I realized in that moment is that I'm suffering. I don't have to believe my thoughts at all, at all. And that was it. I was in oneness. The identity of you is not you. You're not who you think you are. You're not the meaning that your mind is seeking. You're not the meaning your mind labels and tells you and dissects and rips apart who you are, comparing and all of that. And that's happening so often in social media now, thinking who you are is based on how you look, how you're perceived, how many likes you have. Your value is not determined by what your mind says about you, nor the emotions that are arising. They're all an invitation for this true transformation to come deeper. So join us in our next meeting in oneness, where you'll have an introduction to the Access Points, the modern life meditation process. You'll directly get to experience this for yourself. You'll be able to implement it in your life right away, and you'll see if this clicks for you and how real transformation is possible. So you can join us at brianmark.com/oneness, brianmark.com/oneness for our next meeting coming up, where you'll gather with some like-minded people. You know, Buddha said, take refuge in the Sangha, that's the community. Take refuge in the Dharma, that's the process of your life and this process of Access Points, this teaching, and take refuge in the Buddha. And now we're not your gurus, but we are mentors, and we've been down that road, and we can see where you are stuck, where your mind is looping, and we can help you directly see that living the core piece and the true self of who you are into the greatest expression of you is possible. Living an awake life now is possible. All right, so brianmark.com/oneness. And if you like this video, if you like the content that we're putting out there, get that Joey and I are fully devoted to you living an awake life, to the transformation of inner suffering and outer suffering ended. So we are looking to focus on 2 million people awakening in the next 3 years to really help this tipping point of this shift. So join this movement of awakening. take responsibility for living awake life, a life that's present and alive and vibrant here. So please share this, like this, share the love. Good to see you, everybody. Lots of love. Have a beautiful day. You are already it. And we promise you that's the key. It's not everywhere else. You don't need to search for it any longer.
Thank you, everybody. And I hope to see you at our next meeting. Bye for now.
See you soon. Bye.